You know, most Fridays I try to recommend you read a book. I know most of us, our book reading has been reduced dramatically in this era of the internet and our fast-moving Google searches. I still think the way you think when you read a whole book is a much more contextual and therefore much fuller way to reason and to ponder. Today, I'd like to recommend a book, but before I do, I want to add a note. The book I'm going to recommend is by a theologian, or really a church historian. And the thing about it is, many times we wonder, what is theology? That's some kind of abstract, foolish art that no one needs to care about. But all it takes is watching TV religion, or doing an internet search for atheism, and you realize the desperate need our world has for people who think theologically in a reasonable and meaningful way. But the field is an academic field. So is church history, an academic field. And the reason I recommend this book to people is because this book is written by an academic who is not being academic as she writes. This book by Roberta Bondi is called Memories of God. And I'm going to read a pretty painful passage. It's not the tone of the book always, but this was her dealing with some issues with her kids, and she winds up feeling really sad on her 10th anniversary and crying out to God, "I've failed in everything you've given me to do. I've tried so hard to be a good parent. With my whole heart, I've wanted to love my children enough to keep them safe and happy. I've suffered with them and for them. I've begged you to help me to love them well and in the right way, but the harder I try, the more I worry. There must be something essential about Christianity I am missing, something I can't see. I give up." A couple lines later, and I did give up, utterly. There in my familiar chair on that green April afternoon, the light of my life went out. My head fell on my chest, and my breathing slowed. Now you can imagine that's not where that story ends. But that's how real this book by an academic is. It's not a thick book. It's probably 200 and some pages. It was just barely 200, it turns out. Memories of God by Roberta Bondi. You want a book that gets you really engaged? See if you can pick this one up for Christmas. Bless you. Your love first.